Please write your name and organization only in the chat box. Name and organization. Those who are joined, please write your name and organization in the chat box. Your name and your organization, please write in the chat box. Those who have joined, please write your name in the chat box. Those who are joined till now, please write your name and organization in the chat box. Sunny Saurabh, please stop presenting. Sunny Saurabh, please stop presenting. Otherwise, I have to remove you. Please maintain the meeting room decorum. Tausif, please stop presenting. Tausif, Tausif, please stop presenting. Tausif, if you are not following the instruction, I will remove you from the meeting. Good morning, all of you. Please write your name and organization in the chat box. Your name and your organization name in the chat box. Abhishek Kumar, please mute your mic.
Yes, sir. I mute your mic. Hello.
Misa Bharti, please stop presenting. Misa Bharti, please stop presenting. So it's 12:30 now. Who is this, Miss Abharsi? Please stop presenting. Please maintain the decorum, otherwise I have to remove you from the meeting. So very fine. A warm welcome to all of you. It's 12:30 now, and we have to start our session. So in today's session, we have the topics today's sustainable municipal solid waste management and circular economic. So something about the solid waste management. Solid waste management is emerging as a big challenge, not only because of the health and the environment, but concern also about due to the huge quantity of waste generated. It is observed from the many researches document that urban bodies in India are unable to handle such a huge quantity of solid waste due to financial and institution disabilities. Further, uh, sufficient fund resources and infrastructure and appropriate strategy for improving solid waste management, just like segregation of waste, door-to-door waste collection, technology for treatment waste and land use resources, scientific disposal methods, and some of the major challenges which are currently we are facing now. Recognizing these challenges by the ministry, namely the Ministry of Environment, Forest, and Ministry of Urban Development, have initiated several policies program to improve the current scenario in the municipal solid waste management in India only. The ministry has developed rules in 2000, which are now being ramped in as solid waste management rule in 2015, while preparing the draft manual to support the cities and town planning, implementing a proper solid waste management system, which was as specified in the rule 2015. It is now observed many policy and programs fail to achieve their objective due to the lack of clarity and awareness among the stakeholder and the poor enforcement by the regulators. The these this solid waste management is importantly highlight some of the major point which the government of India overcome the challenges in the solid waste management in our country. So we have our guest, today's guest, Dr. J.K. Bashir sir, with us now. He is the head of the department in the environmental engineering in UTAR, Malaysia. Sir has extremely very good work in the solid waste management and has worked as a several professions and disciplines. And sir has a very good academic in this field and received many awards for research in this field. And he has done many consultancy work also beside the country and also in the international collaborations. So here I'm fortunate to we have such a guest right now with us. So sir is now with us to present the today's sessions with you all. Sir, are you there? Sir, please unmute your mic.
Yes, I'm there. Thank you very much for the excellent presentation. So shall we start now?
Yes, sir. Roshan, please stop presenting. Roshan,
Yep.
please stop presenting. Sir is with us.
Okay. So very good afternoon for everyone. I'm glad to be with you today. It's my pleasure to contribute and hope this lecture will be beneficial to you. As you know, solid waste management is a major challenge now, not only in the third world country, but also the first world country. So in developed and developing country as well. But developed and developing country actually facing different issue and different problems. So this today we will focus on how to look or to relook to the waste management, to the waste problem as a resource, not as a waste, and how to utilize waste, or what we call it waste, wisely, and to earn money and to get it more bumping to the circular economy and the development of your country. So this is the scope of my topic. So based on that one, I would like to share with you. So it's not like different topic. I mean, it's not like waste management and circular economy. It's actually integrated together. It's not separated. So with that one, I don't want to further delay. So let us go through the material that I would like to focus on. Um, okay, can you see my material now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. So is it clear, right?
Yes, sir. Clearly visible, sir.
Can you see the title? Sustainable Domestic Solid Waste Management, Moving Towards Circular Economy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Okay. So that's why I a little bit modify the title to because maybe the previous title making give you impression that this is two different topic. It's actually is one topic. It's just moving the waste to resources, moving the waste to wealth. So this is the main idea that I'm going to focus on this time. So my topic will cover the general introduction, current waste management issue and practices, particularly in developing countries, circular economy, waste and material, main trend and recent development, barrier to 3R implementation and the drivers and motivation toward that one. First of all, let me tell you something I think everyone know, that what is waste? Waste actually unwanted or unusable material. So anything that you don't want or unused is waste. But rethink some of the material that we throw, especially in first world country, is not waste. It can be used longer and longer or can be reused. So it can be considered anymore. Another things, some of the material we can go for energy recovery. So it's supposed to be not waste. Anyhow, we used to waste a lot of material of resources. But if you go for the history of human being, long time ago, we used to have the waste from organic material like fruits, whatever, then you throw to the ground, then it's just become by nature like fertilizer, and you don't have any like petrol.
Sir, please unmute your mic, sir. Hello. Please unmute your mic, sir. Sir, please unmute your mic, sir. It is muted. Sir, there is a mic symbol. Please unmute them. Click on the mic symbol, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Is it
sir.
from the beginning?
Yes, sir. Please.
Is it from the beginning?
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please resume presentation, sir. Now.
Yes, yes. Okay, 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 okay. Okay. Okay, now you can see the slides?
No, sir. It is not visible now. Please,
Okay.
please resume presenting, sir.
Yep, yep, yep. Just check this one. This one. Presentation. I'll take it back again. Present now. Okay. 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 So what about now? Can you hear me now?
No, sir. It is not.
Yes, sir. Visual, visual.
Yes, sir, it is visual.
You can hear me, right? And you can see the slide, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Sir,
sir.
Yes,
even
sir. Yes,
you
sir.
can, sir, cross the slide and again start presenting.
Yeah, already done.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so for this one, as I mentioned, but the problem now with the waste is that it's very complicated. So you can see, like, you have your mobile phone now is not only one single element. You have maybe hundreds of elements and hundreds of metals inside. So even waste now become more complicated. So this picture shows to you what the current scenario, the current waste disposed into our landfill as collected. So you can see a lot of raw material or resources are waste mixed. So even when we mix it, we make it more wasted. We cannot reuse it. So what we have here for the current waste management, actually, we bring the resources from the ecosystem to the rubbish bin. If it's not separated, then we cannot utilize it wisely. It will be totally wasted. So before I go to further detail, let me explain a little bit about the sources of waste. Of course, you know about the household, the residential, the domestic waste that we everyone know. Then we have the commercial and industrial. Of course, it can be classified, some of it domestic, some of them hazardous or whatever, should be separated. Of course, we have agricultural sector and we have fisheries and so on. But in terms of like classification, we have different classification of waste. Of course, we have hazardous, non-hazardous waste. We have based on the source, like construction, like domestic, industrial, and so on. But one of the classification that I would like to focus on is the based on biodegradability. We know that some of the material are good in terms of biodegradability, like paper, wood, fruits, and so on, and that's helpful. Then you no need to have tons of or mountain of waste after 100. It can be degraded naturally, but some of them non-biodegradable, like plastic, bottles, and so on, which will cause major problem after disposed not only into the ground, also to the sea, the ocean, and so on. And this is major problem. And you can see here for non-biodegradable, it can go for 1 million year or even 500 years. Right? This is quite extreme that this waste will not be degradable. Okay, now coming to the current problem. So now you know the classification of the waste, very simple. I think everyone know. What is the current problem now of the world? We have very rapid increase in terms of population. Yeah, maybe the people will think that a lot of death now, but in fact, comparing with 1,500 years back, now the rate of death and the rate of birth is much different, right? Due to the healthcare and so on. So you can see during the last era here, how the population of the world increased rapidly. So this increment resulted in highly increase of the waste generation, particularly domestic waste, right? Another issue that maybe you are aware of is that human consumption. Human consumption is really huge, particularly in some of the Western country and developed country, also in some of the Middle East country. It depends on the actual income, basically. So this one, we used to link it with the ecological footprint, where we want to know how many earth we need to survive, actually, or the portion of each person on this earth. So ideally, we're supposed to have, like, if we divided the earth now by the number of a human, that we will know that each one is about, will have 1.8 hectares in terms of resources. But you can see certain country like US, one person will use about 9.7 hectares in terms of resources, if we can calculate this one. And then, like in India, is 0.8, in China, 1.6. This is related to the wealthy of the nation as well. Japan, 4.8, but one of the highest actually here for United States, which is high consumption. This is not only related to the food consumption, of course, is related to the oil, related to the other factor, and so on, and how many cars, and so on. But this is an indicator where we are with this consumption, the high consumption and the high population, and the current trend is quite crazy, right? So some action is needed. Another point, in line with that one, we can see for the rich, the consumption will be higher and wastage will be higher. Not necessarily they will eat all, but they will waste a lot. You can see that one from the trend party and so on. And the hunger also increased in certain parts of the world due to not fair distribution and so on, and no balanced consumption. So what will happen? Easily, all the things that we take from the motherland, right, from the land as a resources, we take it for consumption, factory running, infrastructure, whatever. Then at the end, we turn it into waste. And where's the waste going? Traditionally, we used to send to the landfill or disposal site, that's the worst, and then it's back to the land. So we take the good things from the land and we send back to the land our waste. How good we are. Disturbing the land, destroying the land, and then we use it for our consumption, to enjoy, to be happy, to progress, and then we give back the land, right? Kind of bad reward, which is the waste here. And then without sometimes any treatment. So at the end, the waste is one, the land will be limited, and then it will be contaminated, then the resource will not be good anymore, right? So this is the cycle. Okay, part of the current problem actually also is that as I mentioned, from 13 billion, it might go to 27 billion tons of waste will be generated in 2050, as I'm going to show you now. And then average waste production is 1.42 kg per capita per day. If you look here to the statistics, waste generation by selected Asian country per day, this is per capita per day. If you look to a certain country like Malaysia now even 1.4. So it is considered not very high, but considered more than a little bit high. But there is countries like India, Bangladesh is less than 0.5. You will be surprised why less than 0.5. Maybe because in the rural area, the collection will be, a lot of people will recycle their waste directly, meaning for organic, they feed to the animal or whatever, right? So this would be effective way, actually. They use the traditional recycling things. But of course, if you go to the city like Delhi or Bombay, I think that the percentage will be different from the village and so on. So this is the overall. So if you look to the Hong Kong, of course, too, this is a city style. So of course, the consumption will be high, and then the generation will be high, and there is less recycling at home. The recycling will be maybe by the government and so on. So this is just some statistics. Of course, there are some countries more than 2 and 3 kg per day. But if we compare with Asian country, this is the relatively the statistics. Okay, in terms of waste production, you can see it's rapidly increased, the waste generation. Maybe in certain area are not very rapid increase, like Europe, there is almost consistent, but in Asia, you can see, in Asia and Africa, increase more and more. Coming to the waste composition, if you want to understand how to deal with the waste, how the waste can contribute to the economy of your country, you need to understand waste composition and characteristics. This is very essential. So one of the issue here is the waste characteristics, composition. If you look to the certain country like Indonesia, waste composition, organic waste is about 60%. Okay, if you look to a country like Bangladesh, organic waste is even more than 80%. This is related to how wealthy is the country. If you look to Japan, organic waste is just less than 40%. They have many other packaging and so on, a lot of things to the consumer can waste. The more you go to the village or simple people, the less the waste that you have from those kind of plastic packaging and so on, even furniture, etc. By looking to Malaysia's scenario, we have about 56, but now if you talk about 2020, is about 45% only organic waste. But definitely this is not a little, this is a lot. So organic waste, if we talk about worldwide, you might have 50% food waste, organic. So organic waste, we should not waste it, right? We have different technology to convert it to resources, either to fertilizer or to biogas, or even to protein by feeding the animal and so on. Of course, you have paper, glass, metal, and plastic. If you want to understand more about it, let us continue about how to convert it to resources in the coming slides later. Okay, coming to the solid waste management practice. Okay, now we know that the composition, you have 50% maybe organic, you have plastic, you have paper, you have other kind of sources in this one, in your waste. So what you will do with it, how you are going to handle it. The current practice, as you can see, in a country like Malaysia, you have about 80% going to either disposal site or to sanitary landfill. Disposal site is just like dumping, but sanitary landfill is well-engineered design one with leachate control and biogas collection and so on. So they have very good protection system to the environment with the sanitary landfill. It's different from the normal dump site, right? But they have little, not much on terms of composting and incineration, just 2% and so on. But if I'm looking to a country like Singapore, which is very close to Malaysia, you have about 70% would be incineration by burning, only 2 to 4% to the landfilling. You will ask why? Is it because of Singapore much developed rather than Malaysia? The answer would be not really. This is not really the reason, but the main reason is the land, the availability of the place. So landfilling normally will be a cheap opportunity to dispose the waste relatively, but for Singapore they cannot afford that land. They don't have land to construct condominium and so on. So they have to. The land is very expensive, so they can go for the efficient way that they use incineration, and it was very efficient. Even the remaining amount of waste after burning, after incinerator, they take it and they have one landfill only in island beside Singapore, then they dump it, which is man-made island in the ocean. So this is some of the statistics that we have here. So things from one country to one country will be different based on the strategy that they use to manage and to dispose their waste. Okay, I will show to you some example of the landfill in Malaysia. I think you have, everyone have similar. I just take some photo here. You can see some of the landfill beside the water bodies and beside mountain, beside lakes, right? So what would happen? Those actually waste, when you come and dispose to this site, of course will be degraded and then will be contaminated when the rain comes. So it will produce a very, very toxic and contaminated liquid. We call it landfill leachate, which is like this one, right? This one is not Pepsi Cola, it's not Coca-Cola. So please, when you find this kind of bottle, don't try to drink, right? So this is not Coca-Cola. So this is landfill leachate, very black color, which is very toxic and hazardous waste. It's to me, landfill leachate one of the most complicated wastewater in the world. Why? Because all the industrial wastewater, you can predict the characteristics. If you have treatment plant, you know how to deal with it, including palm oil industry, including textile industry, which is an issue in India and so on. You know the characteristics of the output from the industry. But for the landfill leachate, the quantity will be changed from year to year, from place to place, and the quality will be changed. For example, we have something called young leachate and we have something called old or stabilized leachate. So when the leachate landfill is less than 10 years or more than 10 years, the characteristics of the landfill, the leachate produced is totally different. So the mechanism, the treatment process should be different. You cannot have the same treatment process. So you cannot have the same construction of treatment plant. That's why I consider complicated. And as well, it contains all the contaminant that you can almost imagine. You have the chemical oxygen demand, ammonium nitrogen, heavy metals, uh, other material, also the phenolic compound, and etc. All you can find there because of the heterogeneous mixture of the waste that we have. So the leachate generated will be very complicated. So imagine this leachate will go to the groundwater and to the surface water, and also can cause big problem, right? Also, we have problem with the people who are trying to recycle at the landfill side. I think you have this one also at India. You have, if you don't have very good sanitary landfill, the gas will be contributed to the greenhouse gas problem emission, and it's difficult to control. But if you have good sanitary landfill, you can harvest this gas and convert it to energy by converter. Basically, this is what will happen to the leachate when you have this rainfall come and inside the cell of the landfill, the degradation of organic compound will occur. Then the leachate will percolate and seep to the groundwater, right? Okay. As I mentioned before, we have young and stabilizer. And then you can see when the landfill age less than 5 years, the leachate will be acidic, COD 10,000 and so on. And then BOD, COD 0.5, that means leachate will be biodegradable. And go to the stabilized age more than 10 years, then you will see that BOD, COD less than 0.1, so it's not biodegradable. So biological treatment is not efficient anymore. So in this case, you need to use different technique and different issue to be solved with this one. Right. So that's why it's very complicated to have one single process alone. So a combination of treatment process normally we use on that one. And in fact, I have a lot of research on this topic. Particularly the treatment. Anyway, to summarize the risk associated and the problem. With poor management of solid waste, and this is maybe India also applicable for some state or some places, you are breeding the ground of diseases carriers, you spread the diseases by direct contact, you have air pollution problem, you have contaminated water bodies, including groundwater and surface water, you have fire risk because of the gas if you don't collect the gas, and so on. So you have many social issues, including the odor problem as well, right? That's why the problem that we have seen now, it should not be there. Now we are talking about circular economy, waste and material. How to convert waste or how to deal with waste as a resources. Okay, look to the things here. This is the concept framework of circular economy metabolism within urban area. In urban area, why we talk about urban area? Because normally the village, they have more recycling than the urban area. This is fact. They have a few animals at home, then all the organic waste, they might feed to them actually. So that's good practice. So, but when we talk about all the countries now going rapidly for urbanization, including India, Malaysia, and so on, and major city, including about 20, 30 million now, which is a huge population within one city. Food, you consume coal fuel or nuclear power, goods, all those kind of products go to the city, then nothing reused, yeah, right? It's going pollution emission, wastewater to pollute the river, and then the solid waste to the landfill and so on. This is, we call it linear actually trend. This is the linear trend or for that one. So this is linear metabolism. About circular one, we have food, we have less energy, we have less consumption. So minimum energy, less food, less consumption of goods, but this is you cannot control. Normally the rich people will buy more, poor people will have less. This is you cannot control. But anyhow, by advice and public awareness, we can actually not control, we can reduce it. Then this one will go to the city. From the city, we will not go to waste it at all. We will go for recycling, if not recycling, reuse, if not reuse, in energy recovery, right? And then material recovery or recycling. Then whatever material we have will come back to here. So we have minimum pollution of waste and so on. So this one actually we published in one paper in Processes last year. So solution basically, which can contribute to circular economy, is the concept of the 3R, including reduce, reuse, and recycling. The problem now in many countries, including maybe I think relatively India, relatively, not totally, is the collection. You can see people will collect, will throw the waste into the dustbin all together, mix, that means they waste the waste, and then the cars, the vehicles will come, let's say twice per week, and they will collect it. Then from the collection, from the generation, they go to collect, and they go to transfer station, and then they will go to disposal. In this one, you can see this is linear. There is no recycling, and there is no circular contribution to the circular economy. This all costing, cost of collection, cost of transfer, cost of disposal, and after closure it's cost, because you need to continue treating the leachate and to take care of the landfill even after closure. So what is the solution? It's very simple. You look to the waste hierarchy. We're supposed to go less consumption or prevention. I have 10 t-shirts, why I needed 20, right? I don't say want to say one, but if you have 10, why you needed 20, right? So this is the thing. If you want to eat and this one plate is sufficient to you, why you need to have a big portion of food, then you waste half of it. So this is the thing. So you use what you need actually, don't waste material. So this is one of the prevention. So it's not actually asking you just to reduce what you eat or what you use, no, but don't use extra from your need. Then this one, reduce waste at the generation source, and then reuse, remanufacture, and so on. This one, if you can look to that one, we don't call it even waste. Since you can prevent, right? You can prevent, you can reuse partially. This one directly, then this is not waste. If you look, this one is almost half of the current waste, half. And you can prepare it or recycle it. You can go for energy recovery, just cut it and go for energy recovery, or at the end you might have 2 or 5% disposal to the landfill. You might not eliminate the landfill totally. So how it will work? You go to this one, municipal solid waste. First, we'll start with separation. When I have separation, I have 3 components, right? One component, I will have something like very recyclable one, easily to recycle, including plastic, heavy materials, and metals. Those actually is sellable. So the people from the can collect and sell. And this is a practice I think in India is common by the people or the scavenger, the people collecting at the landfill, they collect the waste by themselves and they separate. It's actually is okay, but the ideal is to be centralized, to not spread the diseases and so on. It's supposed to be governmental sector or private sector that taking care of the operation process of the separation at home to the final product, rather than the middleman in between. They recycle by themselves, go to the landfill and collect the waste, which is not healthy, in fact. So this is, we call it physical separation. It can go even by what we call the magnetic separation for the metal, shredding, and so on. So this one for metal, heavy material, plastic is, as I mentioned, is worth to sell directly to the shop, then they can give some money. But there is material that is not easily to recycle, including organic waste. You imagine I want to give 1 ton of organic waste to another shop, they might not accept, they might laugh on me. But this is very good if we have something like biodegradable fraction. We can go for anaerobic digestion or aerobic digestion. So we can go for combustion or action. We can produce by, although it's plastic, but it's not recyclable. So we have to differentiate. So some of the material is not recyclable, but have very high energy content. So it can go for incineration and can produce directly electricity, and then it can contribute to the circular economy, right? So this is the thing. So for material recovery and transfer, you can look to the city here, and then you have the recycling center. The people can sell those kind of sellable material, including paper, glass, metal, plastic, and so on. For non-sellable material here, then they can go either for what we call it, biogas, like organic compound, or can go for this incinerator for energy production directly. This one from created by my master student who's doing on anaerobic digestion of waste in Malaysia. And we found that the stakeholder role here is very important. Household, Ministry of Housing and Local Government, which is taking care of environmental sector here, waste collector, landfill operator, all of them, they have to implement to collaborate. And then we have to come with something like anaerobic digestion tank. And this is very traditional things. But unfortunately, like in Malaysia, we don't have anaerobic treatment for waste. We have for wastewater, like palm oil industry. They have very good industry in palm oil production. I think they used to export organic waste of generated from domestic waste, which should be good. And then this is what we propose here. We have this one, collaboration with all of the stakeholders, because the collection would be difficult without collaboration. And then this one, our suggestion, will contribute to environment. Why to environment? Because you don't dispose waste to the landfill. That means you will save land. You don't need big land for the landfill. And then it will save water because there is no leachate. And then there is no greenhouse gas emission from the landfill. So it can contribute. It's not totally solving the problem of all pollution, but at least can eliminate the pollution resulting from organic waste. Then also it can contribute to energy. So you have material recovery, electricity, and biofilterizer. This is only from organic, because even after you produce energy, you still have remaining amount of biofertilizer at the end from the reaction, right, for the energy digestion. And then it's economic development because, from revenue, because you sell this kind of energy and fertilizer, you resell them, and this will contribute to the GDP output. And also you might get some money from the feed-in tariff supported by the government. And if you look to this one, there is high contribution to the Sustainable Development Goal by the United Nations, right? So it can enhance the quality of life and so on. So this is very important. But we found that this is very important to have some pre-treatment for this system to enhance the efficiency of biogas production before it's linked to the local grid in Malaysia, for example. And by simple calculation we did for only Malaysia, based on our current scenario. So my student found that we have, if you talk about air, per year, based on only avoiding organic waste, I'm not talking even about all the waste, only 45% of the waste is organic, we can avoid, as you can see here, 5,400 tons per day of carbon emission. We can avoid 961 cubic meter per day of leachate production. We can avoid it. This is huge. This is cost. If you treat this leachate, each 1 cubic meter cost is much more than normal wastewater. land, we can save about 2.2 thousand meters square per day of land, which will not be used for disposal of the landfill of the waste. And for fertilizer, we can produce daily about 5,000 ton of fertilizer. In terms of energy, we can produce 7,800 megawatt per day. And then for economic electricity revenue, we can have about 1.1 million per year ringgit. 1 ringgit is about 0.3 USD dollar. So $1 is equal about 4 ringgit. Yes. So fertilizer, we can produce about 1 million ringgit from fertilizer per year. And then saving of the land, of course, this is maybe you cannot calculate because saving of the land from the landfill is actually depend. If you are working in Delhi, the land is expensive, but if you go very rural area, it will be cheap, right? So it's different scenario. That's why we cannot have exact calculation for the land saving, but we can have for the treatment, we can have for the fertilizer, we can have for the energy, but land saving is difficult to calculate because it's very subjective. So anyhow, if you look to this scenario just for organic waste only, then I can address about 10 different sustainable development goals, including life on land, life below water, because less organic or less material, climate action, clean water and sanitation, a cleaner energy, sustainable city and community, and so on. So I can address about 10 sustainable development goals by addressing waste issue. And this one contribute to the sustainability. Why contribute to the sustainability? Because as you can see, sustainability is actually the common area, the shadow area between economic, society, and environment. And by this circular economy, I can save the environment. By integrated solid waste management, I can contribute to the economy, to the society, and to the environment together. Now I'm moving to the next point, which is the main trend and recent development. I'm just going to show to you one of the successful countries in terms of how the waste can contribute to the circular economy and effective waste management. In fact, like Sweden is much more effective comparing with the many other countries, including US and so on. If you look to the landfill, maybe 2 to 3% only, which is the remaining amount. But energy recovery, you can see, is very high. So for Sweden, they will need to take waste even from neighboring country because the incinerator will consume all those kind of things, packaging material and so on. They have also biological treatment converting to fertilizer or biogas, and then also recycling. So it's considered relatively successful. I don't have the figure about the revenue from this one, but I can see the effectiveness of the waste management system in such a country. So this one is very effective in Sweden. And that's why we believe it can be in another country, but of course it needs some investment and need infrastructure and need education for the public to do separation. Otherwise the public will waste the waste, then the government will come to collect, or the private companies, then we will have non-separated waste or with high moisture content, which is not really good to be separated and to be recycled. Okay, what is the current technology? Basically, there is 3 types of way that we can use together, not separated, for this circular economy. First is physical transformation. We have to separate, we have to minimize the size, and then we have to shred the component for those recyclable items, and then we go to reuse those kind of recyclable items and so on. This is, we call it physical separation or physical transformation, right? So all the glass, metal, and so on can be classified under physical transformation. We have chemical one including combustion, pyrolysis, gasification, where you burn the material with high energy value, and then you convert it to under this one ash, and then tar or oil or synthetic gas, and that's one I'm going to highlight later as well. And then you have biological transformation. where you can convert those organic material only, not packaging, organic material to compost, biofertilizer, and biogas. How to recognize this one? To know about your waste, I said at the beginning, you need to know the composition and the characteristics. If you want to know the characteristics, you need to look to the approximate analysis. So you need to know how much the mixed waste, mixed food, paper, plastic, and so on, and what is the moisture content of elements and carbon and ash. So wherever the moisture content is is high, this is bad for burning by incinerator. You can't use for incinerator, because in that case you will need energy rather than you can harvest energy. And then when the ash content is high, then of course you cannot use incinerator. Like a glass, you have about 99% or 96% is ash. So you burn it, then you need to pump a lot of energy, then at the end you get ash, no energy production. But things like here, mixed plastic, you can see volatile 95%, ash 2%. So this is very good for energy production. Another one that is very interesting to know about the potential production of energy by burning is by looking by ultimate analysis, where you can test the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, and ash. And then based on the carbon content and the oxygen content, you can see like plastic 60%, carbon 22%, oxygen, very good for energy production. And based on CHONS, actually you can use the formula here. Like it is available in the book, many formula that you can use. It's actually you can calculate based on how you test the CHOS, then you can calculate how much the energy, the potential energy that can be produced by burning. This is including incinerator, not anaerobic digestion. And then for comparison of composting, you have this, of course, for biological transformation, you have aerobic and anaerobic. But of course, we encourage anaerobic because it's more to energy produce and fertilizer, but aerobic, of course, less control, and then is more to compost rather than energy, right? And this is the photo showing to you the compost. If you talk about biogas production is following this formula. So even we can predict how much biogas we can produce from our system by looking to the CH and S as well. As you can see, the complex organic will be hydrolyzed, then go to simple organic material, then volatile fatty acid, then it will go to acetate H2, CO2, and then will convert to methane and CO2. So methane production almost will be maybe 60%, and this is what we want. It's following this formula. And this formula actually you can see here. So based on this one, if I know the organic compound, what is the CH and CS value, then I can know how much CH4 I can produce. Okay, for thermal conversion, I know that you, as I mentioned just now, you have CH NSO value, so you can predict the energy production you want, but of course there is combustion, gasification, and pyrolysis, and this is the main stream of gas harvesting or the energy production from non-recyclable waste, which is not organic. But pyrolysis is mainly to produce char, will be less char, and gas mainly char or activated or carbon content. And this is normally used for soil conditioning, improvement, or for even for absorption, wastewater treatment, or gas absorption. And then for gasification, it's mainly to produce the syngas, which go for the gas turbine, energy recovery, and or even chemical production. Combustion basically is just you burn in the presence of oxygen. Pyrolysis should be absent of oxygen. So combustion, the presence of oxygen, you heat it, then you go to the boiler and then generate energy. So this shows to you the traditional mass fire combustion, which is incinerator, just a waste here. We mix it quite simply. Then in the presence of oxygen, we burn it all. But one of the conditions, then we will produce the heat, and the heat we need to go for the boiler and produce energy. But the problem here is the moisture content. In a country such as Malaysia, there is a rain, Then if we don't separate the waste from the source, and then we send it only outside, then when the rain comes, the moisture content will be very high. Normally would be even 60% or even sometimes more. So when you come to incinerate it, incinerator will be failed because the moisture content is simply very high. So this is one of the challenge, actually, one of the barrier that we need to solve. Pyrolysis system, actually, as I said, is in the absence of oxygen. So we need to make sure there is no oxygen, then we burn it, then we produce biochar instead of heat or energy. And there is also the gasification system that we actually to produce the gas, but we have the cycling and so on. Okay, one of the main issue here when we talk about is the pollution, air pollution resulted from incineration. But to solve it is not very difficult, but is very costly. The treatment plant the treatment system of gas emission might cost same cost like the treatment plant. I mean the gasifier or the incinerator. So half of the cost will be related to gas emission treatment and control. Okay, quickly I will just highlight the current resource recycling strategy, because we just highlight how the people promote those kind of treatment strategies and the recycling system in Asia and other countries. You can see in some country like Korea and Singapore, resource recycling and recovery is considered relatively successful. This is the physical one. I'm talking about the physical one here. Sufficient number of recycling campaign ensure effective recycling practice. Previously, Malaysia, we used to talk about recycling a lot, but certain places they don't have recycling bin even. So how even then you will not practice it. So you need to provide a facility and to educate people, then they can do it. But also we need to train the people what item is recyclable, what item is not recyclable, right? Many people think all the plastic is recyclable. No, all the packaging material here are not recyclable. But if it's dry, very good for energy recovery. I'm not talking about the light things or the can here, but I'm talking about those kind of packaging material, plastic, paper, and so on. Polystyrene, all of this one very high energy value, so it can go for incineration, will be very efficient. But there is item recyclable. Of course, might be recyclable here, not there. Until now, like a certain country will face problem in recycling glass because it's not really profitable to industry, might be for certain country. That's why they say in Malaysia, you cannot sell this glass to the shop, but you can sell the metal food, the metal can and the plastic and paper, you can sell it, but the glass one, no. Some NGOs working to collect it and so on. This is example from Korea, right? Sorry, this is from Taiwan. Taiwan, they have very effective system and simple. I've been there last year, and it's very simple. Then everyone will separate from source, particularly the organic one will be separated totally. So their waste is not contaminated, is not mixed, which will make easier to process later. This is aluminum recycling in Korea, and this is e-waste collection and recycling in India. Maybe in India, there is high percentage of recycling, but this one is not very systematic, I would say, whereby is main job taken by the poor people, and then it's, I would say, effective in recycling a lot, but the management is poor, is not considering the health factor and so on. So this is the issue. Potentially, for example, when you talk about those kind of things, you might have rare metal, heavy metals, and so on. So maybe some, if you have a toxic element, no one detect. This is actually rubbish collection at Cambodia. So you can see the people collecting and recycling at the site. So it's not healthy. It should be separated from the source and managed well. This is one of the good project, Combustion project in Indonesia. And this is in collaboration with JICA in Japan. And I'm doing this conversion waste to compost. mixing this to produce good CN ratio from the brown and green waste. This is some facility available in Malaysia. You can see this one, the people come and even send their recyclable item to this recycling center. And this is some of the good effort available now in Malaysia. But now from this experience that you have seen different countries that have a different style, look to the barrier and the problem of the 3R implementation. Basically, the problem is related to impracticability of recycling due to the absence of waste separation. Like in many countries, there is no waste separation at home. All the waste in one dustbin, then you have the one container, you send them, then they will come to collect by vehicle, then they send to the landfill. Even if they don't send to the landfill, if they want to separate it, you will see all the mix of the waste contaminated. So become high moisture content, become highly contaminated, so recyclability will be very difficult and less value. So it should be separated from the source. Sometimes lack of clear policy, but sometimes you have the policy, but you don't have the enforcement. Like I tell you, you must separate, but what is the punishment if I don't separate my waste at home? Supposed to not be collected, right? Or there is supposed to be someone or some money to pay for that. If there is no enforcement for the regulation, then many people will not follow up. Not supportive local facility. I'm asking you to recycle, but there is no facility to do the recycling or separate. So no point. Absence of public engagement, and this is one of the issue. Awareness, and we are working toward the learning program. We are involved in many learning programs in Malaysia, and actually this is one of them that we are involved voluntarily to help and to share our experience with other nations as well. Consideration of informal recycling, because we don't know exactly the amount they collect and the diseases that they can have. You can see one of our colleagues published before one paper, but mainly about the citizen and public, why they have problem with recycling, separation, and so on. Many of them say, oh, okay, no space to store the waste. That's why we don't want to recycle. So they forget that means it's not important for them, not enough material, and then too much effort, too much time. So time, effort, space, all of this one will be barrier for them why they don't want to recycle. Right? They said they're not sure how to separate. That means education system. So some of them say not practical. So this is also education system. So we have to change the mindset toward the recycling, because the recycling can bring a lot of benefit. Not only recycling, is separation at the beginning, but I separate, then the government come collect it all together, also is a problem. So no point if I separate, but the government later collect all, or the company engage with the waste management collection, collected together. I should separate, collector must collect it separately, and then sent to different destination. Recyclable item to recycling center, organic to either to compost, aerobic digestion or anaerobic digestion, and then packaging material, whatever, to incinerator or fuel derived, or what you call it, this is RDF, refuse derived fuel. Okay. And then for the barrier, some country very successful, we said, but let's say in Malaysia, we have 80% of waste not recycled, meaning that the recycling rate now in Malaysia improved a little bit, but become only 20%. Main issue is highly mixed waste. Even after recycling, we cannot send now to incinerator. Incinerator not efficient because the moisture content is very high. I'm telling you, is about 60 to 70%. So lack of separation, low public participation, and then recycling practice is problem here. That's why we have problem. And then you can look to the waste. The plastic supposed to go for incinerator is wasted and highly moisture content here. So that's why one of the challenges that we are facing. But still, there is some good news, which is the motivation toward the success of 3R. We have human drivers, economic drivers, and environmental, institutional. So all of this one, we have some motivation that we can do in our country, in your institution, and so on, to do this separation and recycling to contribute to the circular economy. If you talk about human drive, we talk about human care toward practicing the 3R. This is very important. And then when we talk about human awareness, also should be one of the factor. We should have create many campaign, volunteer people to join, to explain to the people about this one, then they will start to practice by themselves. This is relatively good in Singapore, Taiwan, Japan, and Korea. And lack of a human drive make it less successful in Malaysia and Thailand. I would not say failed, but I would say less successful because there is some result we can see, and we need to continue that effort. For economic drive, we talk about imply funding availability for economy encouragement. So we can fund those institutions that they have practicing the recycling, or they can sell to the company. For example, this is effective, as I said, in Japan. Like you return the plastic bottle or whatever to the manufacturer, then you get some reward or certain money. Same, you can, in certain country, you can go to 7-Eleven, for example, or the shopping mall. There is a machine, you put the recycling amount, you get some coupon, then you can buy by that coupon. So that is also good idea. So there is many kind of idea like this one. You can buy material, then when you recycle, you send back to the same company. Like let's say electronic waste, you buy it today from HP, then after the end, damage everything you cannot use, you sell back to HP. So it's supposed to be some reward to encourage for economic drive. One of the economic drive could be feed-in tariff. For example, if I'm using this organic waste, I'm producing organic, and then I'm converting to energy, should be sellable to the energy grid by the government or by other private institution, then should be some support for that one. That's economic encouragement. Then environmental motivation. You can see for a country like Taiwan, Singapore, and even Hong Kong, waste going to the landfill is very, very small. But it's different scenario when you talk about, for example, China mainland or US. Still a lot of waste going to the landfill. Why? Because of the space, because of the land availability. So when you talk about the lack of nature resources or the lack of land, this one will motivate and push the people to use other alternative rather than landfilling. And if you talk about institutional, we need to talk about regulation, research development activity, and business. We need to talk about business contribution to the 3R campaign, wherever it's applicable. And we need to talk about the take back program, meaning that you bring your discarded material, then you get some reward or some money. Not only the business maker, they are working with this one. Some of the NGOs working with this one. Some of the NGOs, you can donate your waste material, then they use this waste material to recycle it or to sell it, and then they give donation to the poor people and take care of those kind of things. So this is good part of the issue. So you can donate those kind of waste to such kind of NGOs, which is very active, like in Malaysia here and Taiwan, and then they can use to support the poor people or unable people. So this is basically for the material. In overall, I just want to highlight one point before we move to the Q&A session. Basically, for this one, our waste, we should not look to it as waste, pure waste. We should look to it as a resources. A lot of people getting very rich because of the waste, and they know how to deal with it. If we deal with the waste wisely, so we reduce the greenhouse emission, we reduce the contamination of groundwater, surface water, right? We produce renewable energy. We are going for cleaner production, right? And then we save our land. And then this is contribute to the GDP of the country, the economic growth of the country. You don't need to purchase oil from this country or that one country. You will use less because you have other source of energy or supporting system of energy from your waste material. And the recycling system also is supporting your country. So that's why we can summarize as waste is resources, can contribute to the economic growth of your country, and can contribute to the wealth of your country, and is not actually contamination problem that we should suffer anymore. Thank you very much. I'm moving to see if there is any question from the student or participant. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Yes. So now any questions?
Sir, you can stop your presentation and see the chat box for question answer session, sir.
Oh, okay. So so let me see this one. Stop sharing. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. There is many questions, but for me, I was totally involved in what I want to deliver first. But see, it's not clear. Audio, media, both are perfectly working. So which questions? Okay. I do agree that today the time has. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for Dalit. Yes, time has come to get cash from trash. True. It's a good statement. And then yes, is the process of mass fired system possible to be implemented in huge busy cities like Mumbai, Kolkata, Delhi, where solid waste management is a big issue? Thank you for this good question. Actually, the mass fired, I prefer and would love to have a huge quantity, because if you don't have a huge quantity, you don't have sufficient waste to operate the incinerator. Like I said, like now in Sweden, for example, sometimes they purchase or they export they import the waste from the surrounding country to keep running the incinerator. So the busy city, yes, incinerator is much better choice. And for your information, I have visited one incinerator, very good, excellent one in Taipei called Bali Incinerator. It's like hotel. You from the outside, you can see it's like hotel. You only when you're inside, you can see how they control and so on. And even outside, they make the swimming pool and the recreational area for the surrounding humans. So the people there are happy with it. 20 years back, they are protesting against the incinerator, but after implementing that, they are happy, they come to visit, they bring their children to see. But they have also very good gas collection system. What type of precaution are taken while segregation the waste looking? Okay, that is a special case. You know, actually this is a problem now. Because during this stage, especially like in a city like last time in Wuhan or now in New York, the dealing with solid waste should not be normal, become like medical waste, because you don't know if there is any infectious material. So it's supposed to be all the worker to deal with them like health and governmental sector or the health person. How they take the protection, right? For the mask, gloves, or the whole body, they must go very careful for this one. And the collection should not go to the landfill. But this is not happening. So all the domestic waste now which collected from those high-risk area, we should not classify it as normal domestic waste. And this is actually a new challenge. I don't know, I can't see action on that one yet. Solid waste management for solid after sewage treatment plant. Okay, after sewage treatment plant, this is a sludge, right? If you talk about the sewage treatment plant, we have a sludge, and sludge also different. A sludge, if the wastewater does not have what we call it, if the wastewater does not have heavy metal clean, so the sludge can be go for anaerobic digestion. If it's poor, it can be handled in recyclable material. I can use it for landfill closure, right? It can be burned, and then but the moisture content is high. This is the problem. If I can dry it and convert it to dry material, it can be burned because the organic compound is high, but must be dry and then can produce energy. But I can't burn it directly with the high moisture content. So there is a lot of research about the sludge, but some of them actually use it directly for fertilizer or directly for the other material. Recycle of used batteries actually should be recycling system for the batteries. So it's not as domestic waste. So there is separate system to recycle batteries. Particularly, they're supposed to send to the manufacturer, then they can reuse and recycle them. But now is some of them disposed and so on. This is in fact problem. Thank you for this question. Okay, as a student, what should I do for waste management? First, you need to practice waste separation. But you might have obstacles if you don't have waste separation collected system in your country or in your city. In this case, you try to recycle and you sell your item. Although your item is, let's say, 1 rupee, you collect the plastic and so on, you sell it. It's not for business. You just sell it, maybe you can donate the ringgit or the 1 rupee. So it's just because you contribute to the economy of the country. So that's why I say, even you can recycle it free. You just send to the recycling center or the shopping center for that one. I know there is many shops open for recycling in those in countries, I believe also India as well. And then for organic, try to use composting. It's very, if you are in very crowded city, you might use for simple plantation. If not, then you might give to the people who has a farm and so on. Also, you need to educate your family about the waste management, separation, using wisely, don't consume much, don't waste food, use the food, but don't waste it, and so on. Those kind of activity you can do as a student. What will be if dumped or trash in the, oh, okay, Bermuda Triangle. I have no answer for this one. Do you have answer, Mr. Jawid Haider? Have no idea on this one, but you want to pollute the ocean, right? So why you want to pollute the ocean? But I can tell you something. How much cost? I know your question is funny, but or for fun, but I will still discuss it. How much cost you need to spend to collect the waste from your home and to send to Bermuda Triangle, right? How much cost? Do you think this one will contribute to the circular economy? Definitely not. What about pollution? Definitely yes. So it's not recommended, right? I'm going to currently in COVID-19 treatment mask, plastic covers, various types of PET bottle or whatever are used at pudding. In the future, is it helpful for environment? Is it challenge in disposal? Yes, it's very challengeable. Now, as I told you, one of the main challenge is not only the medical waste. Medical waste increased dramatically. You know, last week I was invited by India policy, or this is policy time by India. in India. This is policy time is YouTube and Facebook. And the main forum was for health waste generation. You will be surprised. Medical waste generation in Wuhan during the 2 months of rapid increase of COVID increased by 6 times. And in US increased by 5 to 6 times. In New York, in Malaysia, we are lucky about 17% increment of medical waste. But the problem is not this only. The problem also is at the home. Some of the people stay at home and they have this COVID, might be appear or not appear, and they dispose those kind of waste material and so on. Their material is supposed to be medical waste, not domestic waste, but not separated. Is it problem? Is problem. For a human might be more risk in the future from this one. It's supposed to not deal with it as domestic waste. And this is a create a future pressure. When we separate waste, shall we separate also not only plastic, glass, metal, organic? We should have also one container for medical waste, isn't it? This is also one of the questionable things that we have now. What do we use plastic for packaging and don't use some other biodegradable alternative like? Okay, main things here is 2 things, the cost and weight. Cost of the plastic material is very, what we call it, encourageable to do by business. This is unmotivative. So, and the weight is very less. So weight less, strong enough, and as I mentioned, the cost. Some of the organic biodegradable material is not really cost effective. That's why plastic is still, but many countries now what they are doing, using recycling container. And what they do, if you want like Friday now in Malaysia, Friday, Saturday, if you go to Friday, Saturday, even Sunday, you want to purchase any material, if you want to have plastic bag, they will give you a little bit extra, like 20 cents per 1 plastic bag. Other day is free, but that particular day is less. So you need to pay. When the people pay, then they will start to think about reducing using those plastic bags and use a reusable one. This is for the packaging material. Okay, zero waste society might not be the term that 100%, but is target, that means you need to reduce. So it does not mean zero waste, that means we don't have any waste at all, like zero, but meaning that everything going effective, relatively, meaning that, oh, okay, I reduce. When I use, I reuse. If I don't reuse, I send separately to the, what we call it, to burning, right? Even after burning and energy harvesting, you still have some ash. And ash material might be usable, might not be usable, might be used in construction cement, but might not, then you send to the landfill. I'm saying Singapore or other country might have effective system, but they have still landfill and they waste, they dispose the ash and so on. And you might have some hazardous material that you need to take precaution and the effective management for it. So zero waste is target, but not actually 100% achievable. I wish this is answer your question, but still the concept is applicable. We have to stop it and find alternative method to remove it, which is eco-friendly. To stop what? You mean to stop landfill? You might not be able to stop it totally, because even after burning, I have some ash, but I can reduce it to 2% of the current one or 5%. It's good, right? So this is the issue. And don't forget, even after landfill I finish, if I have good landfill, after finish, after closure, I can use it as a recreational area. So even after the landfill closure, it still can be used, the land. So we have to think about sustainable way. Yes. Even incineration, you will say, okay, eco-friendly because energy production, but you know about the greenhouse emission, dioxide and furan and so on. You need to have very good control system for the air pollution to control that one. It's not free, it's costly. That's why many of the developing countries, they will make it less priority. They will go for the landfill because it's faster and for the short term, cheaper. if a human dies, it is burned or dumped in spite of we are having modern technique for the management, like electricity burning, but which is best, either we are dumping them in the soil or burning it. Okay, this one is, I don't think so. This is the major issue for the environment, but this is, of course, issue with the religion and concept, right? Some people will, their religion is actually more to burning, and they accept. Some religion, no, they will not accept this one to be burn the body. But anyhow, this is not actually major environmental issue, because human body is actually from nature and can go back to the nature at the end. So, and then they can come with the way that how, after how many years they can open the grave or use it again, or recycling the grave. That is out of the issue. And then a human body is not a municipal solid waste, right? So it's out of our scope. The human body is not municipal solid waste. We respect. Recycler can handle the solid waste as per the rule it is being followed in your country. Do they get processed for pollution control board? I'm not clear about the question. Yes, for the recognized recycler, we have, but also there is some people collector at the landfill site, like even foreigner worker from Myanmar and many other countries. So majority of them not Malaysian. Myself, I'm not Malaysian as well, but with all the respect, some of the people foreigner who's from the surrounding country working at Malaysia, just at the dump site, under the arrangement of the, of course, the municipality, and they collect at the site. But this is, as I told you, this is not the ideal practice. The ideal practice, you have shop center to collect the waste or the separation, and then the government or the private company collect it separately. The collector or recycler who's coming to the landfill and to separate the waste there by their hand and so on, this is not the good and good way. Can we use leachate as a fuel? No, leachate by itself, I should not say no, I should say yes and no. Okay, how yes and no? If you talk about young leachate COD and BOD is high. So young leachate maybe about 40,000 milligram per liter COD. And then anaerobic digestion will be very good, right? But when it becomes stabilized after 5 years, COD become maybe 3,000-4,000, like what I'm dealing with now. And BOD very low, so BOD COD ratio less than 0.1. So anaerobic digestion not effective at all. So you need to use physical treatment. So when it was young, when it is young, yes, possible to use partially, but when it's old, it's very difficult to get any good energy from that one, because and it's not biodegradable will be at all, although it's liquid, yeah. But of course you cannot use to burn, because if you burn you need a lot of energy. This is water. How to fix underground contamination by landfill? This is actually, we go for the liner. For the liner system, we have the geosynthetic materials, geomembrane. So we have the geomembrane material, with very low hydroconductivity. And then after that, at the top of it, we have a leachate collection pipe in between the gravels, and it will be collected through that pipes. So it can be collected and channeled to the pond, leachate pond, and so on. Thanks, Avinash. Dr. Avinash, please share with us. It's fine, yes. Thanks, explain in detail value. Okay, thanks. Can dispose of my household generated medical waste with my, it should be not, but the current practice for the disposal of medical waste is supposed to not be, but the problem is, the current problem that we have is no separation. You don't have separation system at home, right? But if you can do it, separate it, and send to another medical place that they separate the household generation is fine. But if not, where to go, right? This is the challenge. We don't have, in most of the countries in the world, I never know any country that they have the medical waste separation at home. But now, with this COVID, the pressure is there. I can see even in newspaper and so on here and there, a lot of pressure on that one that, okay, how to deal with domestic waste, even normal domestic waste, not only health waste, even the tissue, the normal tissue, if you are infected, use disposed to the domestic waste become problem, right? It become like medical waste. So this is the challenge now. We don't have at home at all, and now additional pressure from this one. If we have the choice to separate, yes, highly encouraged to do. Do we left other question? No more? Sorry, sometimes I'm talking fast, so please forgive me for that one.
No issue, sir. You are very good at answering the questions.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Uh, I think
And
there is one
in
more.
fact, we are willing to collaborate with your institution. Whoever would like to collaborate with us, we are open for that one. Yeah, so no issue. Even we can go for student supervision, project collaboration together. We are willing to do so. So you are welcome, especially for the professor there who is willing to share is fine. Supervision sharing as well is okay. We have a friend from, what is the name? IVT. In near Chennai, university near Chennai. I've forgotten the name. Bolanga. I've forgotten the name of that one. Yeah. So no problem.
Sir, only one question left, sir. By the Sunny Saurabh. Why should a plastic bottle be crushed after use?
Oh, okay. Why should plastic bottle be crushed after use? Is it must? It's not must, but very encourageable. Because if you crush it, and when we go to recyclable, less volume. You can see there is something called weight and there is something called volume, right? So when transfer by vehicles, plastic is not very high weight, but the volume is big. So by crushing, we go for volume reduction. That's it. Yeah, for want my email, this is my official email.
No issue, sir. We will share the information, PPT and email with all of them. No issue, sir.
Yes, okay.
Anyone?
So
Any more
any
question,
potential?
please? Please, if you have any question, please share.
Okay. So any potential collaboration, any question, you are welcome. You can email me as well, and we are happy to be with you. But by the way, this university in Delhi, isn't it? Isn't it in Delhi?
No, sir. It is in Patna, sir.
I never been there. I never been in Delhi as well. So
Yeah,
maybe
yes, sir. Yes.
in the future, hopefully.
Everything knows the Delhi, Bombay, and other states like it is Sir Patna in Bihar.
Yes. Yes. Understand.
Yes, sir.
It's good. It's good to be glad to be with you.
Yes. Any more question, participants? Please ask.
I think there is some question here. Let me check. City like Panta, where around for waste, food, and kitchen waste, what are best energy recovery option here? Okay, if we want to talk about best energy recovery, let me know what is the population. The population is important because let's say if the city 10,000 capita or 20,000, right? A small, very small city, then incinerator is not good option because you will not have sufficient waste to operate the incinerator, right? But if you have like a huge quantity, then yes, you have incinerator, but again, you might need anaerobic digestion for the food. So it's better to separate food. Separation is very important. So you have three combination: thermal, physical, and biological. Physical for separation of recyclable item. Biological for organic, like anaerobic digestion and so on. And thermal for those packaging and non very organic. Even paper is organic, but paper also less moisture content. So it's fine to go for incineration. Actually, yes, it's possible to reduce the plastic bottle. Long time ago, last time they used what? They used glasses, right? And then we used, when I was very small, they used to have the glass, then recycle back, give to the sugar. But look to this one, they start to look to it, no, this is heavy, can be broken, plastic is more workable, and so on. So there is many way why they are doing the plastic. But that's why I'm telling about this one. Even we use plastic, we use less. You might not need actually to eliminate totally. Use less, and even after you use less, what will happen? You recycle it or use it for energy production, right? So you might not be able to say stop all of plastic for us as a researcher, right? But for us as a researcher, we can go for innovative research, encourage to reduce, right? And encourage to recycle, then to continue the growth of the economy. What percentage is used when the bottle is crushed? I really have no idea how much reduction, like if you, the bottle crushed, like is it 50% or 40%? I never going to throw this one. But of course, you will go for at least maybe 40% reduction of the volume. Yeah. A band of plastic actually you can use for certain terminology. For example, you might not be able to for packaging material, but maybe for like food delivery, don't use the plastic, right? It could be. And this one can eliminate. Yes, it's good program to go by India. It's good move to reduce the plastic or to ban it. But sometimes it's not totally, as I told you, maybe from certain industry, from food packaging and so on, or from the market. Can we accelerate the biodegradation? Okay, biodegradation of MSW is quite complicated here. The question is a bit difficult because there is certain way, certain bacteria you can use to biodegrade. But I would say, if I want to do this one, biodegradation of municipal solid waste, that means you are thinking about the landfill. And actually, I'm not thinking about the landfill. As a researcher, we should move away of the landfill as much as possible. Organic waste, anaerobic digestion. It's already good biodegradable, but I can enhance the biodegradability of organic waste by adding more biodegradable material. Like, for example, I can mix the organic waste with BOMI wastewater. So it might enhance the biodegradability, so enhance the energy production and make it faster. Could be. But for those actually recyclable items, I don't want to enhance the biodegradability. And for packaging material, I don't want to enhance the biodegradability. I want to burn it because it's very, plastic is petroleum product. So it's energy, pure energy. Can we prevent the use of plastic in medical service? If you are talking about totally, I don't know, because I'm not a biomedical engineer. If there is some element need to use plastic, I'm not aware of that one. It can be reduced definitely, but if you talk about preventing totally, we should ask medical people to answer this question. Thank you very much, Talib. Is it good that recycled plastic is not good? We have to look. You know, there is a number at the plastic bottle. Some of them should not be recyclable. Some of them is recyclable, safe recyclable. So the number indicator is there. Is it used or not used? What is the recent advancement in generating energy for biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste? For non-biodegradable waste now, as I told you, the most common one is not pyrolysis. The most common one is the incinerator, but the world moving now toward gasification. But this is some technical things to be solved, especially the fluidized bed reactor gasifier. That is very recent advance. And then there is some chemical engineering people working toward modeling by CFD to check the performance, the mixture, and so on. And they can simulate, in fact, they can simulate the performance before they go for the trial one. But for biodegradable, as I mentioned, anaerobic digestion is very good. Anaerobic digestion, you can enhance the degradability of the organic waste by mixing with co-digester or another material that can help to enhance the biodegradability and the production. And of course, for biodegradable one, condition control like pH, temperature control, those kind of circumstances is very important, and need to look to the CN ratio and so on. And need to look if there is heavy metal in this organic compound, then you need to stop. This is one of the problem about anaerobic digestion. If the waste contaminated with medical waste or heavy metal or hazardous waste, when you go for anaerobic digestion, the bacteria will die, right? So if the bacteria die or contaminated, the fertilizer contaminated, then you need to clean the whole system and start again back with the new bacteria. So this is one of the issue about anaerobic digestion. Another question here. Why the recycled paper is banned for use in food container? Is mainly because of the paper. When it's used with the material, it's absorbed those like even food from used for food waste or used for writing or whatever. It's already absorbed some of those contaminant. So it's better for recyclable paper. We burn it or we reuse for other purpose. Okay, used plastic. Used plastic, Dumble, yeah, Daf. I don't know what is the question, used plastic. But anyhow, so this is so far to the best of my knowledge. Of course, I'm very glad that we have a lot of questions here, although some of them beyond my knowledge, but it's good to learn about it, yeah? It's quite useful. Thanks. Okay, can incinerator be used for medical waste? So now you look, I'm moving from domestic municipal waste to health waste, but still within my area. In fact, medical waste, there is different way to treat it. Incinerator, one of the main things. So all the country, I think, even the one who don't use incinerator for domestic waste, they still have incinerator for medical waste, right? For human things coming, infectious material and so on. But they have other things like microwave, autoclave, right? And chemical treatment. So they have different kind of treatment, not only incinerator. But incinerator, one of the main things that used for to deal with medical waste, right, and to reduce the volume. For example, in Malaysia incinerator, we have about, if I'm not mistaken, 12 to 17 in the whole Malaysia incinerator just for medical waste, and it's managed to reduce the volume by 99.9%. So only 0.1 or 0.2% will remain as ash, and they will deal with it as schedule hazardous waste. So yes, incinerator is good and effective for medical solid waste, depend on the type because they have different category of waste. Is it used in the hospital? No, it's like you have the state, you have Delhi, maybe in Delhi, not in one hospital. So they have centralized one. So they have collection, the worker will come, and they have separation system in the hospital, different packaging color. Based on the color, they will handle the waste, either to autoclave or incinerator, whatever, and then will send to the incineration. But now, after the COVID, people start to talk and started in China about mobile treatment plant, maybe like mobile small incinerator, how to do when you have emergency case, how to have extra treatment plant in certain area. And maybe this one you have seen in US. In US, they have the mobile hospital, which is the ship hospital, right? They moved from California to New York when the COVID started at New York, because the worst city in terms of COVID was New York. So they moved this hospital to New York in order to reduce the pressure on the other hospital. Same, we can have mobile cases here or there. It's not mandatory to be on larger scale. It's not mandatory, but for effective management and control, because you need to have specialized people to handle it. But as I mentioned, during the emergency things, you might have mobile one. A country now need to think about it. Now we need actually, always we talk about risk management, emergency and risk management, right? Or disaster. But always people, because my background also as a civil engineer, environmental civil engineer. So normally people will think about disaster like earthquake, typhoon, and so on, right? Now, even medical sector, they need to have the health emergency unit, and then waste, we need to have waste emergency sector or office to handle those kind of things. It's simply that one for the normal waste that it will just be disposed after the landing. Then that country receiving, they will collect it from the plane and then dispose it and manage it to that one for the airport. Okay. Okay, to connect with a small village with the organization, I advise you have community. Yeah, I mean, community group with one or targeting group from within the society to communicate with the organization related to waste management, to tell them about your idea. There is different idea actually for a small community. One of them is collaboration. With a small city, you have farmer, and you have other sector, you have agricultural sector. So the people can give their organic waste to the farmer, they can use for composting, or they can have one composter and all the waste there, and then for that composter, the government actually give the biofertilizer to those farmers. It can be recycling, one recycling center, instead of actually, because you don't have shop or whatever to sell your product, it can be one simple recycling center collecting all the recycling material. Then you have one vehicles 1 week to sell it to the main city there where they have a recycling company or whatever. So it's additional income in this case. So many things actually to do to collaborate together as a community to do within in this regards. For this wonderful session. Yeah.
Sir, I think question and answer session has been successfully done, and there is yet no more questions there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Again,
Yeah,
I'm glad to be with you today, and I hope this can open for the collaboration in the future between our institution. You are welcome always to, and we are happy to share knowledge with you.
yes, sir. Sir, thank you very much, sir, Dr. Bashir, sir, for their nice and informative presentation.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's my pleasure. You are welcome.
we are very fortunate to have the person like you, sir, in our short-term training program on environmental sustainability.
Yeah,
I can personally say that, sir, I also learn very new things in this training program. And we hope, sir, same such type of collaboration in near in future also from your institution, sir.
yeah, sure, sure, no issue. Yeah, you are
Uh,
welcome. My
the
pleasure.
the question answer session was very interactive and beneficial to all the participants.
Yeah, hopefully, it's
Yeah,
my pleasure to hear that. Yeah, thank you very much.
yes,
It's
sir.
my pleasure. Take care. Take care.
Thank you very much, sir. Once again, I am very much thankful to you, sir.
Yes, wish to see you all in India in the future. Yeah, take care.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
sir.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
bye bye. Bye bye. Take
Bye.
care.
Uh, please, participants, leave from the meeting room.